So
was that shocking? Like, what was that like? Because that, to me, that was the most bizarre, was the Twitter files. When you let Schellenberger and Matt Taibbi and all those guys get in the Twitter, and the response where Matt Taibbi gets audited. I mean, which is just wild. I mean, it's just so blatant and so in your face.
Yeah, it's weird. No, I mean, the degree to which, and by the way, Jack didn't really know this, but the degree to which Twitter was simply an arm of the government was not well understood by the public, and it was whatever the official government. I mean, it was like Pravda, basically. A state publication is the way to think of old Twitter. It was a state publication.
And was the justification from their perspective that they are progressive liberals, they have the right intentions, it's important that they stay in power, the progressive liberals stay in government and power, because this is their...
There was basically oppression of any views that would even, I would say, be considered middle of the road. But certainly anything on the right. I'm not talking about like far right. I'm just talking mildly right. The people like Republicans were suppressed at 10 times the rate of Democrats. Now that's because old Twitter was fundamentally controlled by the far left. It was like completely controlled by the far left, and that's why I say like San Francisco, Berkeley is a niche ideology. It's hard to say like, is there a place that's more far left than San Francisco, Berkeley?
Maybe Portland.
But it's like
right there.
It's those two places are the most far left places in America.
Yes.
So from their standpoint, everything is to the right, including moderates.
Right.
So now, if you internalize a far left position, everything seems wrong to you that is not far left.
Right.
And so they naturally oppressed anything that didn't agree with their views. That's why I say that it was an accidental far left information weapon. So, because it's like Silicon Valley attracts the smartest engineers, the smartest sort of technologists and programmers from around the world. They created an information weapon that was then harnessed by the far left, who could not themselves create the weapon, but happened to be co-located where the technologists were.
And happened to be aligned politically with the people that possessed it.
The technologists generally are moderate, maybe moderate left, but they're not far left. That's why I say San Francisco, Berkeley. It doesn't even extend to South San Francisco or even to Palo Alto. So SF Berkeley is the most far left, perhaps in a competition with Portland. But I'd say SF Berkeley is more far left even than Portland. Literally in America, we're talking about an area that's maybe a 10-mile radius. And so normally the effects, the negative effects of a far left ideology that would be geographically limited to a 10-mile radius. That's like not, it's small, like so any bad effects of that ideology would be geographically constrained under normal circumstances and have been in the past. But when you have basically a technological megaphone, which was Twitter and social media in general, suddenly the far left are handed a megaphone to Earth. An incredibly powerful technology weapon that they themselves could not create, but they happened to be co-located with the technologists who created it by accident.
Is it shocking that more people don't understand how dangerous that is?
I think some people understand.
Some people do.
Some people understand. So, I mean, from the standpoint of some of the people who used to be at Twitter, that people are like, well, it's a big shift to the right. That is correct. It is a shift to the right because everything is to the right if you're far left. Everything is to the right. But how many far left people have actually been suspended or banned from Twitter, now X? Zero. So it's really just moved to the center, but from the perspective of the far left, it's moved to the right. It's like everything's relative.
the difference in moderation.
Sorry, I should say it propagated that far left philosophy not just to America, but to everywhere on Earth.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with the same level of suppression in other countries as well?
Yes.
But the Taliban is on Twitter, right?
Like, I always think of like, hey, Mr. Taliban, tally me a banana. Hey, Mr. Taliban.
I mean, there's definitely some people on Twitter that are...
Daylight coming, I want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the point is, from my standpoint, that X, FK, Twitter should represent the sort of collective consciousness of humanity. So now that means that there are going to be views on there that you don't like or disagree with. But that's humanity. So are you going to exclude them or not? Now, I mean, if somebody, breaks the law, then the account is suspended. I mean, if they actively advocate murder, then the account is suspended. We do have what we call like the kind of United Nations exclusion rule, which is that you can have, say, the Ayatollah, who, would prefer that Israel didn't exist, for example. But he's allowed to go to the UN building in New York. In fact, generally officials from Iran do in fact go to the UN building in New York, even though they're a heavily sanctioned country. So I think that there's merit to having, just like there's some merit to the UN. One can disagree with the UN, and I think we shouldn't have a world government that we bow down to. But in fact, that's risky for civilization. But I think you do want to have the leaders of countries represented on social media. You want to hear what they have to say, even if what they say is terrible.
But I think that is true across the board. And I think one of the things you just said that's very important is that's humanity. And I think it's important that a social media platform, especially the biggest one, represents humanity so we understand what we're talking about. Because we have this distorted idea of what people think and want and need because everyone only exists inside this ideological bubble and anything outside of that bubble gets censored.
Yes.
Then that literally changes the tone of the entire country.
Hey, woman, since your man ain't got no heart, what you going to our apartment tonight? I'll show you a real man.
There you go.
What? Fuck you. Hey, woman, since your man ain't got no heart, what you going to our apartment tonight? I'll show you a real man.
There you go.